Hello everyone, welcome back to Elite Tales. Here we discover the emotional and captivating stories about Elon Musk. In this video, we will capture the heartwarming moments of famous entrepreneur. Before we begin, I request you that please subscribe our channel for more interesting videos. The Tesla factory was alive with its usual rhythm, a symphony of machinery, sparks flying from welders, and the steady hum of production lines. Among the sea of workers was Jake, a reserved and hard-working employee whose quiet demeanor often went unnoticed. He was diligent, efficient, and committed. It was a frigid December morning, the kind where the cold seemed to seep into every corner. Elon Musk, as he often did, decided to walk the factory floor. He believed in staying connected to the heart of his operations, his employees. This wasn't just about ensuring smooth production. Elon genuinely cared about the people behind Tesla's success. As he moved through the bustling assembly line, Elon's attention was drawn to Jake. Something about him seemed different. It wasn't just the weariness etched on his face or the way he clutched his thin jacket against the cold air inside the factory. There was a heaviness in Jake's eyes that struck Elon as deeply personal. "Hey!" Elon greeted, his tone casual but warm. "What's your name?" Jake looked up surprised. It wasn't every day that the CEO of the company stopped to talk. "It's Jake, sir," he replied, standing a little straighter. "You've been with us for a while, haven't you?" Elon asked, recalling seeing Jake on several occasions during his factory visits. "Yes, sir. Almost 3 years," Jake said, pride flickering briefly across his face before it faded into a more subdued expression. Elon nodded, glancing at the meticulous work Jake was doing. "You're good at what you do, I can tell." He paused, studying Jake a bit closer. "How's everything going? You doing okay?" Jake hesitated, his hands pausing mid-motion. It was a simple question, but it hit harder than he expected. "I'm managing," he said quietly, not meeting Elon's gaze. But Elon wasn't one to accept vague answers. He noticed the slight tremor in Jake's hands, the way his shoulders seemed to carry an invisible weight. "Managing doesn't sound like thriving," he said gently. "Anything you want to talk about?" Jake looked around, unsure if he should open up. The factory was bustling, workers moving past, oblivious to the exchange. Finally, he exhaled and said, "It's just, times have been tough, sir, but I'm getting by." Elon's curiosity deepened. "Tough how?" "If there's something wrong, I want to help." Jake hesitated again, then decided to share a piece of his truth. "I've been living in my old car for a few months now," he admitted, his voice barely audible. "My wife and daughter are staying with her parents in another city because I can't afford rent here. I work every day to save up, but it's hard." The words hung in the air, stark and raw. Elon felt a pang in his chest. Jake's story was more than a personal struggle. It was a glaring reminder of the challenges many hardworking people faced, even while holding steady jobs. "That's not right," Elon said firmly, his voice carrying both empathy and resolve. "No one working here should have to go through that." Jake shifted uncomfortably. "I don't want to burden anyone. I'm just doing what I can." Elon placed a hand on Jake's shoulder. "You're not a burden. You're part of this team, and I take that seriously." There was a sincerity in his tone that made Jake's eyes glisten, though he quickly looked away, not wanting to show too much emotion. "Let me see what I can do," Elon added. "You're not alone in this." Jake didn't know what to say. The idea that someone as powerful as Elon Musk cared about his struggles felt surreal. As Elon walked away, his mind was already racing with plans. That evening, sitting in his office, Elon couldn't shake the image of Jake huddled in a car on freezing nights, or the thought of his family separated during the holiday season. He knew he had to act, and not just for Jake, but for any employee facing similar hardships. The next morning, Elon gathered his team, recounting Jake's story with urgency. "We have to do better for our people," he said. "If even one of our employees is going through something like this, it's one too many." He proposed immediate action. A confidential survey was sent out to employees, asking about their living conditions and any challenges they faced. The responses revealed a spectrum of struggles: medical bills, housing instability, family crises. Elon was determined to address them all. For Jake, Elon's intervention came swiftly. That very week, Jake was called into a meeting where he was informed that Tesla would be covering his housing costs until he could get back on his feet. A small, furnished apartment was arranged for him close to work, so he no longer had to sleep in his car. But Elon didn't stop there. He personally ensured that Jake's wife and daughter were flown in to join him, reuniting the family just in time for Christmas. The moment Jake saw his wife and daughter step into their new apartment, tears streamed down his face. His daughter, a bright-eyed little girl with a laugh like music, ran into his arms, crying, "Daddy, we're home!" The scene was one of pure joy. Jake's wife hugged him tightly, whispering, "We're together again. That's all that matters." Jake's wife held him as if she never wanted to let go. Their daughter, too small to understand the gravity of their struggle but old enough to feel its weight, clung to him with her tiny arms. It was a moment so powerful that words seemed inadequate, replaced instead by the language of tears, laughter, and love. As the family sat together in their newly furnished apartment, Jake looked around in disbelief. The warmth of the room, the soft couch beneath them, and the sight of a small but beautifully decorated Christmas tree in the corner. It all felt like a dream. There were even presents underneath the tree, each wrapped with care. Jake's daughter's eyes lit up when she noticed them, her earlier sadness replaced by the kind of joy only a child can express. "Is this really ours?" Jake's wife asked, her voice trembling with emotion. "It is," Elon said gently from where he stood near the door. He had stayed back, wanting to make sure the family felt welcome and understood the depth of Tesla's commitment to its people. "You deserve this and more. No one working as hard as you do should have to live in such difficult circumstances." Jake turned to Elon, his voice thick with gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you. It's more than I ever dreamed of." Elon smiled, shaking his head. "You don't have to thank me. You've earned this through your dedication and hard work. Just promise me one thing." "Anything," Jake said without hesitation. "Take care of your family, and when you're in a position to help someone else, pay it forward. That's all I ask." Jake nodded, tears streaming down his face. "I will. I promise." As the evening unfolded, Elon stayed a little longer, chatting with the family and making them feel at ease. He shared stories of his own struggles, of nights when he'd slept on the floor of his office, pouring everything he had into his dreams. "Life has its way of testing us," he said, looking at Jake's daughter, who was now sitting beside him with wide, curious eyes. "But those tests don't define us. How we rise after them does." The little girl, holding a stuffed animal she'd found among the gifts, looked up at Elon and said, "Are you Santa?" Elon laughed, the sound light and unguarded. "Not quite," he said, smiling, "but I think Santa would approve of what we're doing here tonight." The girl beamed, her faith in magic and kindness renewed. It was a moment that cemented itself in Jake's heart forever. The next morning, Jake woke up to the sound of his daughter's laughter echoing through the apartment. She was playing with her new toys, her giggles a symphony of pure joy. Jake's wife was in the kitchen, humming a Christmas carol as she prepared breakfast. The aroma of fresh coffee filled the air, mingling with the warmth of a home that now felt like a haven. As Jake stepped into the living room, he noticed a handwritten note on the small dining table. It was from Elon. "Jake, This is just the beginning. Your hard work and perseverance inspire me. Remember, the road ahead might still have its challenges, but you're not alone anymore. Let this Christmas mark a new chapter for your family. Warm wishes, Elon. Jake read the note several times, each word resonating deeply. He carefully folded it and placed it in his wallet, vowing to keep it as a reminder of this life-changing moment. Over the following days, news of Jake's story began to spread through the Tesla community. Inspired by Elon's example, employees across the company came together to support their colleagues in need. Anonymous donations poured into the relief fund, and volunteers formed groups to help those who were struggling, whether it was offering rides, helping with childcare, or simply lending a listening ear. Jake, once hesitant to share his struggles, found himself at the center of a movement that celebrated empathy and solidarity. He often spoke to his co-workers about his journey, emphasizing the importance of reaching out for help and the power of kindness. One particularly cold evening, as Jake was leaving the factory after his shift, he noticed a colleague sitting alone in the break room. The man looked tired and distant, much like Jake had felt just weeks before. Without hesitation, Jake approached him. "Hey, you okay?" he asked gently. The man hesitated before nodding. "Yeah, just rough times, you know?" Jake sat beside him, offering a reassuring smile. "I do know, and trust me, things can get better. You just have to let people in." The man looked at Jake, his defenses softening. "Thanks, Jake. That means a lot." Jake nodded, feeling a deep sense of purpose. He knew now that his story wasn't just about his own survival. It was about helping others find hope in their darkest moments. As Christmas Day approached, Elon decided to host a special celebration at the factory. He invited all the employees and their families, transforming the factory floor into a winter wonderland. There were lights, decorations, music, and a towering Christmas tree adorned with ornaments made by the employees' children. The factory buzzed with excitement as the Christmas celebration drew closer. Employees stayed late after their shifts to help decorate, each person adding their own touch to the growing festive display. The once industrial space now shimmered with twinkling lights, snowflake-shaped ornaments, and garlands that wrapped around every beam and railing. A life-sized Santa sleigh sat in one corner, complete with faux reindeer that looked as though they might leap into the air at any moment. In the center of it all stood the Christmas tree, a massive evergreen that towered nearly to the ceiling. It was adorned with handmade ornaments contributed by employees and their families. Each ornament told a story: a hand-painted star from one family, a glitter-covered bell from another. Some were simple, while others were elaborate, but together they created a mosaic of joy and community. Jake and his family arrived early on the day of the celebration. His daughter skipped excitedly alongside him, her tiny hands clutching a red and green ornament she had made just for the tree. "Daddy, can I put mine on the top?" she asked, her eyes wide with hope. Jake chuckled, hoisting her up onto his shoulders. "Let's see how high we can reach, sweetheart." As they placed the ornament near the top of the tree, applause erupted from the crowd that had gathered. The little girl beamed, her smile as radiant as the star atop the tree. Elon Musk arrived shortly afterward, dressed casually but exuding his signature charisma. He took the time to greet every family personally, shaking hands, posing for pictures, and sharing a few words with each person. When he reached Jake's family, he knelt to speak to Jake's daughter. "I saw you put that ornament up there," Elon said with a warm smile. "It's beautiful. You have quite the artistic talent." The girl giggled, her cheeks flushing with pride. "Thank you, Mr. Musk. I made it with Mommy and Daddy." Jake and his wife exchanged a look, their hearts swelling with gratitude. In that moment, they felt not just cared for, but seen, truly seen, by someone who could have easily remained distant. The celebration began with music and laughter. A local choir, made up of employees and their children, performed classic Christmas carols, their voices filling the factory with warmth. Tables were laden with festive foods, roasted turkey, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, and an array of desserts that included cookies, pies, and a massive Yule log cake. For many, it was the first time they had been able to enjoy such a feast in months, if not years. Jake's daughter marveled at the sight of a hot cocoa station, complete with marshmallows, whipped cream, and candy canes for stirring. "Can I have some, Daddy?" she asked, her excitement contagious. "Of course, sweetheart," Jake said, guiding her toward the table. As Jake watched his daughter sip her cocoa, her face glowing with happiness, he felt a lump form in his throat. He turned to his wife, who reached out to squeeze his hand. No words were needed. They both knew how far they had come. Midway through the evening, Elon took to the stage. The room fell silent as he began to speak, his voice resonating with sincerity. "I want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight," he began. "This celebration is not just about Christmas. It's about community, about resilience, and about the incredible people who make Tesla what it is." He paused, his gaze sweeping over the crowd. "This year has been challenging for many of us, but it has also reminded me of the strength we have when we come together. Tonight is a testament to that strength." The crowd erupted into applause, their cheers echoing off the factory walls. Elon waited for the noise to die down before continuing. "I also want to share a story," he said, his tone softening. "It's about a man who reminded me why I do what I do. Jake, would you mind coming up here?" Jake froze, his eyes widening in surprise. His wife gave him an encouraging nudge, and he reluctantly made his way to the stage, his daughter holding tightly to his hand. When he reached Elon, the billionaire placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Jake and his family have been through more than most of us can imagine," Elon said. "But despite the challenges, Jake has shown incredible perseverance and dedication. He's an example of the kind of spirit that inspires us all." The room erupted into applause once more, and Jake felt his cheeks flush. He glanced down at his daughter, who was smiling up at him with pure adoration. "Thank you," Jake said, his voice shaky but heartfelt. I don't know what to say. This is more than I ever could have imagined." Elon handed him the microphone. "Take your time," he said gently. Jake took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "This time last month, I didn't know how we were going to get through Christmas. We were barely getting by, and I felt like I was failing my family. But then, Mr. Musk..." He paused, his voice breaking. "Elon showed us kindness we didn't think we deserved, and that kindness changed everything." Jake's words hung in the air, their impact palpable. Many in the audience wiped tears from their eyes, moved by his vulnerability. As the evening continued, Elon made his way around the room, mingling with employees and their families. He listened to their stories, laughed at their jokes, and even joined in a spirited game of charades with the kids. One moment in particular stood out. Elon noticed an elderly couple sitting quietly at a table, their hands clasped together. He approached them, introducing himself with a warm smile. "We know who you are," the woman said, her eyes twinkling. "But we didn't think you'd have time for people like us." Elon pulled up a chair, his expression earnest. "You're exactly the people I want to spend time with," he said. "Tell me your story." The couple shared tales of their years working in the automotive industry, their pride evident in their voices. Elon listened intently, his respect for them growing with each word. By the end of the evening, the factory felt less like a workplace and more like a home, a place where everyone, regardless of their role, felt valued and connected. As the celebration wound down, Jake's daughter approached Elon with a shy smile. "Thank you for helping my daddy," she said, holding out a small drawing she had made. It depicted their family standing beside Elon, all of them smiling under a bright sun. Elon accepted the drawing with genuine delight. "This is amazing," he said, kneeling to her level. "I'm going to keep this in my office. It'll remind me why we do what we do." The little girl beamed, her joy infectious. "Merry Christmas, Mr. Musk." "Merry Christmas," Elon replied, his heart full. As Jake and his family left the factory that night, their hearts were light, their spirits lifted. The warmth of the celebration stayed with them, a beacon of hope in the cold winter air. For the first time in a long time, they felt not just supported, but truly loved. And that made all the difference. And so, Elon Musk's unexpected act of kindness didn't just change one family's life. It sparked a ripple of hope, reminding everyone that no matter how difficult life may seem, there's always room for generosity and connection. Jake and his family walked away that night with more than gifts. They left with renewed faith in humanity and a deep sense of belonging. It wasn't just a holiday for them. It was the start of a new chapter filled with possibilities. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more heartwarming tales, and share it with your friends. Together, let's inspire others to spread kindness and love, no matter how big or small. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.